Watch this.
Another foreign military is coming to Idaho. Qatar's Air Force will eventually train in Mountain Home, and we're finally hearing from Mountain Home's mayor and a base commander who say they found out about the final decision similar to how we all did. From a $400 million surplus to a projected $56 million deficit, Idaho's financial picture has flipped. We'll break down what's behind the drop and what it could mean for taxpayers. You know the saying, you can't predict the weather, but what if you could at least plan for it? A University of Idaho researcher just launched a new tool that helps farmers do exactly that by turning heat into data. Lots of questions across Idaho and the nation about a new military partnership with the country of Qatar. Back on Friday, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who refers to himself as Secretary of War, whatever you want to call him, he announced that Qatar would be sending fighter jets and pilots to Idaho's Mountain Home Air Force Base for a training operation. And the agreement drew major reaction because of the initial phrasing by the Secretary of Defense himself, saying that a Qatari facility would be built in Idaho. Long story short, that was walked back by the end of the day and clarified as Qatar would have a working relationship with the United States Air Force here in Idaho, similar to how Singapore currently has operations at Mountain Home Air Force Base. For the first time this afternoon, we are hearing from Mountain Home's mayor and a commander from the Air Force Base, the first to address questions publicly, like, did they know this announcement was coming?
The wing commander called me and goes, "Hey, just letting you know, we found out too." So I think we were all shocked, I guess. Not shocked in the aspect that it's finally inked, but just the press release or the information wasn't laid down or put down to all of us in a more efficient manner. But I digress. Either way, it's fine. We're a big family-oriented place. Mountain Home is one of the most diverse communities in Idaho because of that Air Force Base. You've got every culture you can imagine from that Air Force Base. We've got our Basques, we've got our Hispanic community. We have everything you can think of in Mountain Home, and that makes us better. And this is no different than any other culture or country. We've been training all sorts of contingencies, from the Germans to the French to everybody out at that training base.
Okay, it's been solidified. We've been talking about this. We've known that this was coming. And now the Secretary of War said, yep, here's the agreement. This is occurring. I think now allows us to continue on with the planning and to solidify more things as we start to work with being able to host them the best we can here at Mountain Home Air Force Base. There's still a lot of work to be done, and we're excited about getting after that.
As we covered in depth yesterday, the duo confirmed that the partnership did not happen overnight. Of course, this dates back to 2017, shortly after the United States sold $12 billion worth of F-15s to Qatar. And in exchange, the Qatari military wanted their pilots trained on those aircrafts among Americans. And Mountain Home, they won the bid in part because of the topography. It matches the landscape visually in terms of what it looks like in their Middle Eastern country. And that's Colonel Michael Perez, who we just heard from a moment ago. He's the group commander of the 366th Maintenance Group, and he expects the Qatari partnership to be the same as other existing foreign training operations.
We have a partnership with Singapore, and we join with them and we train daily with them, and we have some of the best airspace here in the country. And so it's exciting that the Singaporeans are here with us, and it's going to be equally as exciting when we get the Qataris here, just with those partnerships and working together and training. There's a lot of benefit, not only to the Qataris, but there's a lot of benefit to the men and women at Mountain Home Air Force Base across the base on just the training opportunities and stuff that we will have to embed with them and train with them and work with them. And I think we may not even see them until 2030. So there's still a lot of work to be done. But Mountain Home Air Force Base, we are really excited to host the Qataris and partner with them as they come here and train with us.
And I do want to add that Mayor Sykes, who's been mayor of Mountain Home since 2016, he actually mentioned in the press conference today that he has traveled to Qatar physically and has visited with their leadership there. Anyways, it may be some time before this actually happens. You heard the colonel say 2030, but Mayor Sykes maintains his excitement about the benefits that this will bring to his city. We will continue to follow this. Up, down, all around. Certainly one way to describe the state of Idaho's projected budget situation. Now a new turn in the road. State of Idaho is now projected to end the fiscal year with a $56.6 million budget deficit, and we are just 3 months into the fiscal year, so there is time for change, but the number is a significant difference from the original $439.8 million surplus that lawmakers projected when they adjourned their session back in April of this year. And by the way, these numbers that we cite, they all come from the Budget Monitor, a report from the Nonpartisan Legislative Services Office here in Idaho. And we have followed this since the summer. The first report that showed Idaho was in the red. This new projected deficit comes as general fund revenue collections have fallen significantly below the expectations. And previous numbers in this cycle prompted Governor Brad Little to order spending cuts across state agencies, 3%. And that cut did not include public school budgets. It's also a significant report because we are now through the first quarter of the fiscal year. And the revenue picture has deteriorated even from revised forecasts. Collections are running $94.1 million or 6.8% below what the Division of Financial Management had predicted for the first quarter. Corporate and income tax collections are driving the shortfall, coming up short of what we saw last year. But not all revenue sources are declining. Sales tax collections, for example, are up $10.8 million. In product tax collections have also increased $11.1 million compared to the exact same time last year. By law, Idaho needs to end the year with a balanced budget. So changes like more cuts could be necessary if economic trends do not change. And on top of that, lawmakers will need to vote on conforming with tax policy changes that were outlined in President Trump and the Republican majority's One Big Beautiful Bill, signed on the 4th of July. And that included no taxes on tips, no taxes on car loan interest, and no tax on overtime premium pay, all factors that would technically lessen revenue to the state of Idaho. The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation calculates a $167.4 million impact to Idaho, but Idaho's own calculations could put that number even higher.
The initial cost estimates that I've seen, I think the Tax Foundation is reported at a $167 million impact. The Tax Commission, their initial numbers are higher than that, about $180 million. It's going to depend on a number of factors of what the legislature decides to do.
We reached out to the governors and budget managers' offices for a reaction to this, potential news for other cuts. We'll get back to you what their plan stands to be. Early voting is officially underway in parts of Idaho, and that gives voters a chance to beat the Election Day rush ahead of November 4th. That is local elections across the Gem State, and some counties started as early as today, and all early voting will run through October 31st. If you're wondering whether your county offers early voting or where to go, you can find that information right now at voteidaho.gov or by contacting your local elections office. Very friendly people. Any registered voter can cast their ballot at any early voting site in their county. It's quick, easy, and often less crowded than waiting until Election Day. And if you're not registered to vote, no worries. Idaho lets you register and vote on the same day during early voting. You'll need a valid photo ID and proof of residency. You have to be living here for at least a certain amount of time. But most Idahoans, you can use your current driver's license, covers both. And before heading to the polls, you can also check out your sample ballot. What will be on your ballot specifically? And remember, not everyone will have an election this November. It all depends on what's in your local area or your local taxing district. Your next door neighbor, for example, might have a race on their ballot that you don't. It's all about the lines and where they're drawn. And Secretary of State Phil McGrain says it's important for every eligible Idahoan to take part, whether that's early, absentee, or physically there on Election Day. Because local elections may not grab big national headlines, but they certainly have the biggest impact on your day-to-day life in the community that you live in. Some people mark the seasons by the first snow or when the sprinklers kick on, but for Idaho farmers, timing is everything to make sure that they can control the weeds and that they plant their crops at the right time and manage the pests. As Hunter Funk will explain to us, there's actually a brand new tool from the University of Idaho that could change the way They weather the growing season. Hunter, what is this?
Yeah, quite literally weather the growing season, right? This tool uses the forecast to help. It's called the Growing Degree Day Calculator, and it's a science-based system that replaces guesswork with data. Now, farmers have long depended on the calendar to make their moves, like mid-May for planting and mid-June for spraying. But those dates don't always match what Mother Nature has in mind. Well, that's what this tool aims to help with. Developed by University of Idaho Canyon County Extension educator, this new online calculator uses daily temperature data to estimate how quickly crops and pests are developing day by day and by location, too.
Agriculture is something you cannot predict every year the same. So the temperature, rainfall, water, and everything is going to be different from the last year.
And it's helping farmers predict when pests and plants hit critical stages of growth before they ever see them in the field. Farmers choose their location, enter a start date, and the tool does all of the math. They say it's already helping farmers cut back on unnecessary pesticide use and better protect crops like potatoes, barley, and sugar beets. Well, tonight at 6 in our Inside Ag, we're going to show you how it works and what the future holds for the program. Joe?
I know that you grew up in an agricultural family and you have the background growing up here in Idaho, but when you learned about technology like this, do you think back to how much it's changed for all the people you grew up around?
I mean, it just continues to evolve. It's incredible. And you also look at location. You know, I grew up around potatoes and wheat and corn, but then you look everywhere else and you're like, wait, why are they doing this over here? Why are they doing watermelons in Hagerman? Why are they doing seeds in Canyon County? So yeah, it's cool. And I keep asking it. Every single one of these shoots, I'm like, artificial intelligence is the biggest question I have. I'm like, are you guys starting to implement it? And yeah, you're starting to see it in seed sorting. She says that, you know, once they get the equipment to be able to implement AI into this, they're also going to be doing it. So, I mean, that's also something that's pretty cool to see evolve.
I also know in the ag community and the farming community, there's such a conversation about bringing up that new generation.
Yes.
You know, technology like this gets them hooked.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps. Sometimes staffing's hard to find. That also kind of helps.
Very good. All right. Hunter Funk with the insight on ag. Appreciate it, Hunter. We'll talk to you soon. As consumers get comfortable with the idea of giving up their gas vehicles, electric cars are becoming more and more common out on the roads. But the shift does not happen overnight. It's the result of decades of innovation by engineers who saw the opportunity for something different. We're digging into the redial bin to 1999 to introduce you a group of engineering students at the University of Idaho who were well ahead of their time.
Of all the street-legal electric cars in the nation,
this would beat every one of them.
31 batteries, 204 horsepower, built at the University of Idaho, parked at the state capitol.
Is it the new governor mobile?
Well, it well could be.
Because the engineering students who built it just took it to a national competition in Phoenix.
And we basically outperformed everybody and took first place down there.
This is far cry from what most people think of when they think electric car.
I always think of like souped up golf carts.
That's what most people think.
This one's got an attitude.
We've got a top speed of about 135 miles per hour.
I can get out right in front of the State House and just roast these tires.
I wouldn't say that on TV, but
I would. Let's say I drove it around and around town here. How long would I go before I had to stop to recharge?
the way I hear you drive, you wouldn't go too far. For the typical consumer in city driving, you'll get between 60 and 80 miles on a charge.
And to recharge it
Will cost you maybe $1.
Really?
Yeah, so economically, this is a great way to go.
The governor couldn't agree more.
This may be the way to go.
It's you.
It's me.
It's one supercharged, battery-powered killer Camaro.
This ain't your average golf cart, that's for sure.
John Miller, Idaho's News Channel 7.
Okay, so times have changed, and the technology powering electric cars have come a long way since 1999. Most of them on the market are well over 200 horsepower and can easily surpass 135 miles an hour. In fact, the base model Tesla will do 0 to 60 in less than 6 seconds. New electric vehicles can travel much further on a charge as well. You heard him say that car could do between 60 and 80 miles on a single charge. Well, most EVs these days average about 300 miles, depending on the weather and all that. And that range continues to increase as technology improves.
and winter are colliding up in Idaho's mountains. Look at this beautiful live look from our Stanley Sawtooth camera. Stanley earlier this morning had a light dusting of snow. Temperatures only at 45 degrees, but that's enough to melt that snow away. You can see some trees with that fall foliage here in Stanley, but then that coating of snow on the Sawtooths beyond. And I think overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, we'll likely add a little bit more snow to those higher mountaintops. Here in Boise, the sunshine has emerged after this morning's round of rain that brought nearly a quarter of an inch of precipitation to the Boise airport. Much wetter than usual for this month so far. 57 degrees, very light winds out of the northwest. So while we are about 10 degrees cooler than is typical for the middle of October, that sunshine certainly helps to make things feel just a little bit warmer. We're still seeing clouds, some very light showers, and even earlier this afternoon, a couple lightning strikes over the central mountains east of Stanley out towards Sun Valley. But across the lower elevations, it's just been that cloud cover coming and going. No precipitation to speak of right now. So the rest of our evening should be clear and cool here in the Boise area. But as we head closer to midnight, we start seeing those clouds building in. And by tomorrow morning, we'll likely wake up to another round of chilly rain. It's deja vu all over again in our Wednesday forecast, as once again, most of the significant rain will be from Boise eastward out into the Magic Valley. So let's time this out on Futurecast. Here we are about midnight tonight to 2 in the morning. Here comes that initial push of precipitation around the Magic Valley up into the central mountains. Snow levels may drop down to 6,500 feet or so, an inch or two possible overnight there. The precipitation pushes westward out towards Mountain Home by commute time 7 to 8 o'clock. Any westward shift in this band, though, means much of the Treasure Valley could have some more rain to deal with tomorrow. So while this particular model is not putting rain over much of the valley, it's still possible we could have some showers. So plan on that early, but most of the wet weather swirls off to the east during the day tomorrow. So we should enjoy some clearing, much like today, by the afternoon and evening. But temperatures do remain cool. We'll wake up to the 40s across the Snake River Plain tomorrow. Upper 20s in Stanley. So yes, it looks likely Stanley has a little more snow in the forecast tomorrow. McCall, you may have a few snowflakes early. If the precip gets that far west, we'll see 40s and 50s for highs in the mountains. I think Boise only lands at 58, Mountain Home at 59, where the sunshine emerges a little earlier and the rain isn't quite as heavy, and thus the cloud cover not as significant. West of Boise, those temperatures will warm into the 60s. So kind of a case of location, location, location tomorrow is what depends on what you'll see outside your window. On Thursday, though, I think all of us will get to enjoy cool sunshine. We'll wake up to 39 in Boise on Thursday. Temperatures, though, climb closer to seasonal temperatures by Saturday. Beautiful conditions for that afternoon game on the Blue. In Boise, we hit 67 on Sunday, but then much cooler with more showers coming in early next week.
I love that. All right, thank you, Rachel. Well, with possible rain in the forecast, transportation officials are issuing their annual reminder to drive safe when the roads get wet. And if the moisture keeps falling, there's a good chance we could have an early ski season. Morgan Romero has the 411.
The Boise airport says it's not playing a political video of U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem at the airport. However, KTVB recorded the video playing at the TSA security checkpoint on Friday. Yesterday, the Boise airport clarified the video is not playing on city-owned digital monitors. An airport spokesperson told us they haven't been asked to play the video on their monitors. And they said the video played on a monitor owned and operated by TSA at the security checkpoint. The airport says the monitor is currently not working, and TSA IT is trying to figure out why. In the video, Noem blames Democrats for the government shutdown. The College of Western Idaho has landed its first ever National Science Foundation grant worth more than $860,000. The funding will support a brand new mining technician program, the first of its kind in the region. Students will get hands-on training with cutting-edge tools like drones, radar, and LiDAR, and even take part in paid internships. It's all about preparing them for in-demand jobs right here in Idaho. The program kicked off this fall, and enrollment for the next class opens November 3rd. All right, it's that time of year. Ada County Highway District is reminding people to drive safe in the rain. They say you should slow down when driving because wet roads make it harder to stop. You should also leave extra space between your car and the cars ahead of you. ACHD says leave your headlights on and stay alert. If you see any issues on the road, like downed trees, flooding, or street signs, ACHD asks you to contact the Ada County Non-Emergency Dispatch line. Several local resorts saw their first snowfalls of the season over the weekend. Bogus Basin says it got about an inch of snow Sunday morning and a light dusting yesterday. About 6 inches fell at Tamarack Ski Resort Sunday, and Brundage got about 3. The resorts say if this keeps up, the ski season could open early. And that's your 411 on the 208. I'm Morgan Romero.
All right, this is a live news program, and I did get an update on the Idaho budget situation. So, a statement from Idaho Governor Brad Little's budget chief, Lori Wolf, saying, quote, Governor Little is committed to prudent, conservative budgeting and will continue to take necessary steps to ensure Idaho's budget is balanced. Idaho's economy remains strong. We continue to earn the highest credit ratings because of our solid reserves and sensible governing. The September revenue numbers showed some anomalies in corporate filings, but we're only 3 months into this fiscal year, giving us plenty of time to navigate any gaps in revenue. Finishing off saying Governor Little will present his recommended budget to the Idaho legislature in January. So that is that. We will get some of your comments now. And is this the #1 comment of the day? Okay. Qatar training. Joe, thank you for pronouncing Qatar properly. I had a roommate in college from Qatar in the 70s. It was never pronounced Qatar. That drove me nuts. Thank you, Rick. Yeah, we talked to people that lived in the region. It's Qatar, and I'm not doing it perfectly, but it's not Qatar. It's Qatar. All right, now to the #1 comment of the week. Where is Brian Holmes? What have you done with him? He's just on vacation. He will be back tomorrow. Brian, please come back. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, Brian, and everyone else. Goodbye.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app, everywhere you stream.